What if I told you that this man named George Soros was single-handedly responsible for the downfall of Hollywood, making it lose 50% of its annual revenue over the last 3 years alone? To truly understand George Soros' role in the decline of Hollywood, we must first explore the reasons behind this decline. As an outsider, you might consider various factors like the rise of streaming, changing audience preferences, or the notion that Hollywood is becoming outdated. While these arguments are semi-true, they only scratch the surface. During my research, I came across numerous articles that presented these facts as the main causes of Hollywood's downfall. However, they fail to capture the complete picture. For example, films like Top Gun Maverick prove that streaming hasn't completely replaced movies, and TV shows like Wednesday have gained popularity among millions of TikTok users, suggesting that taste isn't the sole culprit. One prevalent argument is that Hollywood is losing touch with the newer generation and is viewed as something for older people. However, this viewpoint misses the mark by a significant margin. While it may have been true in the past, Hollywood has been making an effort to adapt. Unfortunately, in their pursuit of being socially conscious, they have stumbled into the trap of trying too hard to appear woke. This raises the question, how bad are these movies? Well, the numbers speak for themselves. Queen Cleopatra received a dismal 1% audience rating. Well, it kinda went up after I recorded this. It is now an astonishing 2%. It's 2 times better. That's a lot. Leaving us pondering how a colossal studio with multi-million-dollar budgets for actors and directors could produce such a disappointing film. Some argued that the casting for Cleopatra was meant to represent African American heritage, but even Forbes refutes this claim. But there's not terribly credible evidence that Cleopatra was black, and instead she was of a Macedonian Greek descent. The country of Egypt in particular has taken offense to the show, altering their history dramatically and portraying it as something they believed is non-factual in a series that is meant to be documentary. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Say it was a small mistake, no biggie, right? You try, you learn, you fix. That's the way it is meant to be, right? Well, no, sadly, Hollywood has not been struck by the realization that maybe they're trying too hard. This has been shown by the fact that Queen Cleopatra isn't the only movie that Hollywood has seen to mess up. Others like The Little Mermaid has also received backlash, but in their defense, it seems to show a better score to the audience. This has been repeated so many times that people have begun to make memes about it, like this one about Queen Elizabeth or even Elon Musk. But what's wrong with Hollywood? How could losing $7 billion not signify that they have to change directions? This had even got me stumbling. I mean, $7 billion is a lot of money to lose. But did they actually lose it? Looking at their growth, they seem to have gained net worth, or at least their net worth has been stable. But how can this be the case? After the revenue was cut in half, how is their worth not changed? Well, that question goes to George Soros. I even asked ChatGPT this question, and in its own words, George Soros is a prominent Hungarian-American billionaire, investor, philanthropist, and political activist. Soros is known for his successful career as a hedge fund manager, as well as his involvement in various social and political causes. Due to this political involvement and support for liberal causes, Soros has been a subject of controversy and criticism from conservative circles. Some conspiracy theories and false claims have emerged associating him with various global events and political movements, often portraying him in a negative light. Well, thanks to ChatGPT, that pretty much summarizes it. But what does that have to do with Hollywood? Well, in doing my previous calculations, I missed an important factor. Hollywood's revenue doesn't only come with movies, but also sponsors, and George Soros is one of them. He had given over $10 million to Hollywood. But that still doesn't make sense. Why would a company favor $10 million over $7 billion? But George Soros, though devious, is also a genius. He did not give the $10 million to Hollywood. That wouldn't have made a dent. Instead, he gave it to the people. Well, the people in power. He had given the money to the Abrams Leadership Committee, which used that money for their campaign and got even more money. After all was said and done, the people in power had $20 million on hand and no care for their own company, aka Hollywood. Through bribing top people at Hollywood, he had detached them from their own beliefs and towards money, something that Hollywood is supposedly against. This raises so many questions. Like, what other stations are getting paid, who else is biased, and who cares about the actual news? I'm not going to go into heavy detail in this scenario, but I'm going to list 3 steps I use whenever checking if a source is credible for you guys. Number 1, there's this real nifty site called AdFont's Media Chart where you can type in a source and 99% of the time it has the source there. Like say CNN or Fox News or even Joe Rogan is there. And it can quantify media bias plus credibility. It comes in real useful using in school essays too. If you want to take a step further, you can also research authors' names and statuses. ChatGPT is really useful in this. And if you want up-to-date info, you can jailbreak the software by copy and pasting the prompt I have in the description. You can thank me with a like. If you really want to know, you can look through the links they posted and if the sources are credible. Plus, are they marketing something? If they're marketing something, it's not a dead giveaway. I mean, everyone wants a little money, but be wary. Alright, let's get back to the video. Where were we? Oh right, the questions. Researching, you'd be surprised about how many news stations you thought were trustworthy are actually government funded. How much harm did George Soros actually do though? Surely a little funding can't hurt, right? Well no, he's known to be a massive funder across all media, but weirdly enough, his political beliefs do not align with his actions. He said himself that the government and everyone should be transparent and pushes moral justice, but he himself doesn't follow his own beliefs. I'm not gonna end this video though. Instead, I believe that there's some way to bring Hollywood back, and I have an idea of how to do so. This is a 5-step plan. First off, it needs to recognize its mistakes and learn from them. They need to know how to make good movies that people will watch, by both learning off films like Queen Cleopatra and blockbusters like Top Gun Maverick. They need to focus on quality over quantity. Over recent years, they've pushed out film after film without thinking about quality or storytelling, and it's starting to show. Doing research for this video, I came across numerous articles talking about degrading quality of not only Hollywood films, but films in general. They can achieve this by using new technology like ChatGPT. I mean, I showed how useful it was in this video alone. And also Midjourney to plan out scenes and emphasize high quality CGI. Fourthly, they need to engage with their audience feedback. We have seen this over the last few years about how Hollywood has been rejecting these ideas by focusing on the money and not the movies. It's time to change that. The audience has to tell Hollywood whether the movie is good or not, and not Hollywood itself. And finally, it has to stop being funded by outside sources, especially those which are political. I know it's easier said than done with many people being breaking points, but if they ensure a good quality control team, I have no doubt that they can get to the bottom of whatever outside influences are playing on their team. Using this, I think that Hollywood can make a huge comeback back into their golden age even. Like and subscribe.